Hi gear nerds, welcome back to the channel. The Meris LVX, it is the super hyped delay pedal of the moment. It can do absolutely everything according to some of the fanboys. One of the questions I asked myself was, can it do some really basic bread and butter delay sounds? Can it do them well enough so that you can kick off your Strymon timeline or your other basic delay? Coming right up, I'm going to show you how it compares to my really basic Boss DD200. I've picked three algorithms. One is the standard algorithm, which is a digital delay. Two, it's the analog delay, which is a bit darker and dirtier. And three, it's the tape delay, which has a little bit of modulation built into it. So let's see if it can do those three basic types of delay. Let's start with the Boss digital delay. That was the Boss. Let's listen to the Meris. That Meris digital delay is way better than the Boss. I did try and dial some modulation in on the Boss, but the modulation on the Meris is so much cooler. It's really just so much better. I hope that comes across on YouTube because it just sounds bigger and bolder. The DD200 is a pretty basic delay. It does a good job though of doing a number of algorithms very, very reasonably. Let's have a go at the analog delay. This is the Boss analog delay. This is the Meris analog delay. Now they're not exactly alike, and this one took quite a lot of dialing in from the point of view of the Meris. I had to play around with a lot of different types of distortion. It was tricky. I have to say this took me quite a long time to dial in. It's not exactly the same as the Boss, and I'll be honest, I quite like the Boss's analog delay. Is it one of those dark repeats, slightly distorted delays that sits under your playing? I think so, yes. The Meris is good. I think you'll have to judge for yourself whether you think it's a great analog delay. But there are so many settings. This was the closest I could get to my taste. I'll also do some knob tweaking at the end of this demo because there are a number of different ways you can dial it in easily, and with the Meris you can put a couple of the controls onto the front panel, and that's what I've done. I put a couple of key controls onto the front panel so we can have a play and see if we can listen to it interactively. Okay, let's hear what the tape algorithm sounds like. This is the Boss tape algorithm. Sounds pretty good. Honestly, I think that Meris sounds absolutely fantastic. And here's the strange thing. I didn't use the magnetic delay type. I used the BBD. What I did was I took the cassette modulation type, and that cassette modulation type is pretty crazy the way the default settings come. But if you put it on a very, very low setting, it gives a beautiful, lush sound to the repeats. And now, does that actually sound like a tape delay? I don't know, but this is the kind of modulated, interesting delay that you can really play. And I think you could play it a little bit more like an instrument, because the tape delay isn't so much designed to sit behind your sounds as to give a really modulated feel to what you're playing. Leave a comment below if you think these things sound good as basic delays. If not, let me know too. Okay, it's got to the point in the video where I need to say, if you've got something out of the video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and hit the notification bell. And feel free to leave a comment. I'd really like to know what you think about these sounds, because the LVX is a really expensive piece of equipment, and if it can't do basic sounds, then is it only for as a sound toy or for ambient types? I'd like to think not. I'd like to think that a lot of us could get some value out of the LVX. My conclusions today are that these sounds stand up against any delay out there. One of my favourite delays is the Free the Tone Future Factory. I think the digital delay here stands up really well against that. I haven't done any of the dual delay sounds or any of the fancy settings, because there are a load in the LVX and they do sound pretty good too. Maybe I'll do that in another video. Okay, thanks a lot for watching. I'm going to switch to the knob tweaking section of the video now, because you might want to, there's going to be about 5 people in the world who want to see how did I get those settings and want to copy those settings for themselves. So I'll do that video right now. See you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Welcome to the knob tweaking part of the video. So now I've got my set up so that I have the tactile settings, which means that when you press this editing button, you get a set of text menus, not the bubbles. So don't get confused by that. Most of the people on YouTube are using the bubbles. Now, my first problem with this screen, by the way, and I still have got plastic on there, but my biggest problem with this screen is this writing here is just so small. So I'm going to read out what some of these things are to you. I've already emailed Meris to say there's no reason. Look at all this blank space. They could make this text much bigger. For people who have slight visual impairment, this is a really tricky screen to read, and it just makes it frustrating. Okay, so what settings have I got here? So it's the standard structure. There's loads of mad things in that structure. The type is digital. The delay time is 500 milliseconds, but of course you can make it anything you want. The right and left divisions are off, so both sides are exactly the same. And I've got 50% feedback. For the demo, I put a lot of feedback on because, you know, to make the sound more obvious, and the mix is pretty high as well. I've got no crossfeed, but I have got some modulation on this, and you probably heard in the demo that I've just done that the modulation sounds super duper. Have a listen. So dynamics I have turned off, the preamp I have turned off. Now I do have a filter on here, and the filter, the whole point of the filter is to act as a tone control. You can see if I take it down to about, let's say 700, the repeats get dark. Can't remember what I had it on now. I had it on 4000. Now the other thing about this control is the spread needs to be high. If you don't turn the spread up, you can't hear very much. The other thing is, it seems that the resonance is at unity gain at 1 because you can't turn it down below 0.5. And it doesn't actually hit 1 exactly, which is a bit frustrating. These knobs are clicky. But again, Meris don't tell us. As you can hear, it just sounds pretty good. If I turn the filter off entirely, I don't think it sounds as good. I don't know how to get it back on. No, it doesn't remember. It goes back to the defaults. So that's okay. We can go back to the... Basically, I'm taking some top end off of the repeats and giving them a warmer sound, which is strange for a digital delay because you think of it as being very harsh. So nothing on the pitch, of course, nothing on the modulation, nothing on the mix, and so on. So basically, this is really simple. All I've done is added a filter and set up the delay. Now, the other thing I've done is I've put the filter on this knob, which they call, rather helpfully, C3. So now you can adjust the tone make it brighter or darker from the front panel. So that's it. Let's go into the analog. This was a big challenge. Same thing with the filter here. So I've got brighter and darker repeats. Personally, I think an analog delay should have those dark repeats. The other knob here is the gain knob. Now, there you have to be really careful with the gain knob because if you turn it up too far, you go into an endless loop. But you turn it right down. Okay, you have to turn feedback up. No, you have to turn it up a bit more than 0.2%. You can hear it gets significantly cleaner. Now, you may like it like that without any dirt on it, but I like it with a bit of dirt on. This is one feature I really like about the Meris, that you can decide whatever the knobs are, but also that you get a real menu display for what they are, because on a lot of other delays, to high-end delays, you get a parameter knob, but it doesn't say what it is. So I had this set on about 25, I think. You can hear how this is getting dirtier. Okay, let's have a look at the settings that I've got in here. So first of all, standard structure, because everything else is mad. It's the BBD, the Bucket Brigade type, 500 milliseconds. The feedback is high. Right and left divisions are off because we don't want to do anything mad. Crossfeed is off, and I've got some modulation on here. Now I do have a compressor on here. And I have a slow attack. It's in the pre-location, minus 29 dB threshold, a 6:1 ratio. Now, a lot of those things are standard, but I've reduced the gain. I've reduced the gain quite a lot. So I'm just using it to kind of squash it and smooth it out a bit. Now, what's on the next page? The preamp. Now, I've used an op amp here. This one's got some dirt in it. If you've got an LVX, I totally recommend really trying out the different types of preamp. I've used a different one on the tape, so we'll have a look at that in a second. This one has only got gain and volume, and this is the gain control that we've got on the front. Well, again, the op amp to me sounds a little bit smoother than a couple of the others, and you just have to try them out to see what you like. This is the filter. This is slightly differently set up than the one, but again, remember that the spread control needs to go fairly high for you to hear very much. So turn this up, gets a lot brighter, and turn it down. Of course, we could turn the resonance down a bit. That's a bit boring with the resonance down. Yeah, gets a little bit of a more interesting. That's it, nothing on pitch, nothing on modulation. I did increase the wet trim, but to be honest, I regret it now, so I don't think that's necessary. There you have it, that's my analog delay. Here's the one I think I'm most proud of, the tape delay, because at first I started off by using the magnetic tape delay structure and couldn't get anywhere. And then I went back to the BBD and it sounded much, much better. You hear that warbling? That will show you how to do that in a second. It's coming from this, actually. You see this slip? I've also got a tone control on here. So let's just go back to what we've done. So it's a standard structure. There's the BBD. Nothing special on there. Crossfade, some modulation. Modulation on this sounds really nice. Dynamics, nothing on the dynamics. Nothing on the preamp, surprisingly enough. Now the filter, this one is slightly different. This is a band pass. Because my logic was that I lose top and bottom end in a tape, but that might not be anything other than it sounded good at the time. Now here's the interesting thing. This is the cassette modulation. The defaults are really high on this. I can't remember what the settings are, but look, if you turn these up to what the hell is that? You can only use that as a special effect. So if you take these down to, well, I started off at 1.6. 1.6. have a play around with them. The other thing is these high and low settings sound really good. As you can see, those high and low settings on that crinkle sound absolutely amazing, give you a lot to play with, and they sound really cool. In fact, I'd be tempted to use this as tone control if you're having difficulty with the filters, because it sounds really good. And presumably if you turn these two off, then it's just the highs and lows. And then I haven't done anything else on any of the settings. I'm pretty pleased with it. It's come out pretty good. Leave a comment below if you have got any other settings to do some basic delays. Enjoy your Meris LVX if you've got one. Thanks a lot. See you next time.